Hi, I'm Sean Werner with McCarthy Wilson. I'm here to talk about today tips with respect to Maryland law and riding bicycles. And by the way, this is only applicable to Maryland. Tip number one is remember that the rules of the road applicable to motor vehicles are applicable to bikes as well. So that means if you're riding a bicycle, you have to be on the right side of the roadway, just like a car. You have to stop at stop signs, and you also have to stop at stop lights. If you're riding on a sidewalk, which is allowed for non-motorized bicycles, then in that circumstance, you are treated as a pedestrian for the sake of the law. And that means if you're crossing in a crosswalk and something happens, you have the same rights as a pedestrian. Bicyclists in Maryland are not allowed to ride on a roadway where the speed limit is 50 miles per hour or greater. And generally in Maryland is a relatively bike-friendly state, so there are bike lanes that are designated for riding the bicycle. But if there's no bike lane and you're on a 50 mile per hour roadway, my suggestion is you get off. Tip number three, one of the things to keep in mind for motorists who are approaching and passing bicyclists, the law dictates that there needs to be at least a 3-foot passing range, meaning that you have to be at least 3 feet away from the bicyclist as you pass. And you'll notice that if you look at designated bike lanes, that they are generally around 3 feet wide, and there's a reason for that. It's because of that particular law. Along the same lines, if there is a bike lane, you need to ride on that bike lane if there is not a sufficient amount of distance for a motor vehicle to pass you. So for that reason, if it's a narrow roadway and there's not much room, you have to ride on the bike lane. So just something to keep in mind. All right, and one last thing that I wanted to touch on that not many people know is if you are in either a motor vehicle or a bicycle, one of the things to keep in mind is you're not allowed to use headphones that cover your ears or that you can insert in your ears, both ears, because then obviously you can't hear traffic, and there's a law that prohibits that. So if you're going to ride on a bicycle or you're going to ride in a car, always have one ear exposed. And if you have any additional questions, because this can be rather complicated stuff, there are a lot more laws that apply to bicyclists in Maryland, feel free to give us a call at McCarthy Wilson.